and Mackie.
I think we're live. Guess what? I'm Dave. Can't hear you, Mackie. No, there you go.
And I'm Mackie.
That's true. He is. He's still Mackie. And this is Shiny Side Out, broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That is home to fresh ideas. Buy some merchandise or donate to the station if you like anything we say or any other hosts and what they say too. Join us in the chat room. That reminds me. You should go in the chat room and talk to us while we're on air. Jeez. Yeah, I'll tell you why in a minute. This is show number 708.
8 and 700.
That is so true. It's still true. It'll be true to the end of the 2 hours. Tune in to us online on your smart device directly via an app or listen at home on a Gray's Tabletop Digital Radio. If you missed the Solaris show like I did, I'm going to have to catch it in the archives. I believe that Lorian Fenton was on. She's another host of Revolution Radio. That would have been a great show. It would have made a great show, and I'm sure it was. Fantastic show. Solaris Blue Raven has some amazing guests. Lots of amazing guests, not some. They're all amazing. And she's a great host, great radio host. She's also an author and a videographer. She's done some tremendous work. If you can find a way to find her in any of the mediums she's producing material in, please do. And especially that for Solaris's show that comes on before us. And like me, I've got to jump into the archives and go get it. Did you know it is free though to go into the archives, and you can download the shows you want in the convenient format of MP3s. You can also find it. I know, how good is that? You can also find it though in places you find your podcast, and you can also find our show on nearly every platform that exists. So do that, reach out to us and say hello. We also do this for free. We have done it for 14 years. 14 years. So far, so good. And let's see if we make it past December 10th. But anyway, having said all of that, Mackie, I'm broadcasting out of Dark and Jung country.
I, of course, come to you from Dara country.
And we respect the elders, past, present, and future. You know, Mackie, you know how we spoke about it during the week in Plato's Cave. That's another show that we have, and it runs in 7 a.m. cross promotion to Tuesday and Thursday out of Revolution Radio. This is American time, by the way, that I'm talking about, so it's a breakfast show. And we have an hour there, and we've been talking about the US shutdown. And I was watching both sides of the aisle, as we would say it here in Australia, both sides of the aisle, and why they think the shutdown is important. And I don't think people realize exactly how important it is. I know historically it's been done many times, so I shouldn't say anything too terrible about it. I know the past ones have been trying to increase the debt ceiling because they're really just holding out and attempting to get something passed. The right is saying that the Democrats are holding their position because they want illegal immigrants or undocumented workers to get to access to medical care. That's whatever you want. I don't really care. And the left is saying, well, we're not doing anything of the sort, and you're just a stick in the mud. You need to, get on with it. And I don't really care, to be honest. But what I know is, wait, 3I Atlas, exactly at the time of perihelion, is when the shutdown occurs, and all data is not being published to the public on it. It's also a radio silence for this object, and it only adds to the conspiracy that it could be something else. And that's where I was going with it, Mackie, and you can take it wherever you want. And the mic is yours.
Look, I think it should be interesting to see what this object actually is, and because we are getting to the point where my money is on alien invasion for November. So if you got that on your bank account, good for you. But just something to the shutdown. It's actually impossible for illegal aliens to receive federal money for medical anything.
But it was in that big beautiful bill or something. I can't believe it was in some bill. I saw the evidence of it.
No, you didn't. I don't know what you saw, but that doesn't exist. It's not true. It simply isn't true. That's if you're a lawful immigrant, then yes, and that was in the bill. If you're an illegal immigrant, the answer is no. It can't happen. You just can't. It can't be done. Okay, you can't give federal money to illegal aliens. You can give money to lawful aliens, and that is what Trump is attacking. Just to be clear, I want to be very clear as to what this is, because the shutdown, well, again, it's the only country in the world this ever happens, and it's I think it's hilarious. I really do. No other civilized nation is going through that kind of nonsense. And this is not about raising the debt ceiling here. This is about certain things the Democrats don't agree with. They don't want to have certain things taken out, right, when the budget is approved. And that includes medical assistance for American citizens, not illegal aliens, right? Legal aliens, yes. Illegal aliens, no. There's a difference. Anyway, not to belabor the point. I had a Mandela situation, Dave.
Oh, did you?
Today. 10 minutes before the show. Well, actually, that's not true. Not 10 minutes. It was about 2 hours before the show, to be fair. I tell you, I had promised
a commenter on... Is this a new effect? Or an already
for me it is
one? A new one. Yeah, okay.
No. Well, I don't know, but for me it is, right? And I know it is because I looked at this until I was blue in the face, right? So I know it's a thing. So I promised one of the commenters on our shorts to have a look at the the dark side of the moon conspiracy, etc., etc. So I did a bit of research, looked at this and the other, and we'll talk about that for a little bit. There's not a lot there other than the general strangeness of the moon. And if you're interested, I urge you all to have a look at our moon cycle, which is very comprehensive. I have to, even if I do say so myself. How many tidally locked objects are there in the solar system, Dave?
1.
20.
Oh,
20.
Okay, so I know of a second one, but what are the others? So the second one that I know of is Pluto and its pair. Yeah,
and it's Moon Charon. That's correct.
That's right.
You also have all of Jupiter's large moons, which are Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, as well as the Saturnian moons Enceladus and Neptune's moon Triton, as well as Phobos and Deimos of Mars. When I first researched this, and I know this because I did for the moon show, the only tidally locked moon in the solar system was our moon to the Earth. That was it. And that was just odd. So, but today, as I looked at this, now they're 20. Now, again, I'm not misremembering it because I spent a lot of time looking at it. Clearly, you remember one extra one, which I don't. And now there's on top of that, 19 more that you might not, or 18 more that you might not remember. So that's a new Mandela effect for me. So I don't know what that means for you, Dave. I'm sorry, brother. But
I didn't know about
I didn't do it on purpose.
Those other moons. I didn't know.
No. What I mean is when I slip, something bad happens to you. It's just
that's true.
Any ailment I'm not Is there any ailment I'm not aware of? Have you lost hearing or vision?
Not to say, not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. I'm
And
sorry, brother.
And if
I
you're
didn't mean to
anyone but Grey still plays, you're stealing my bit.
Oh, that's gold. No, but so I did look at it a little bit. Now, the general thing about the moon, I only spent about 5 minutes on this, and then I'll move on. But I do urge anyone who's really got an interest to listen to our moon show. So our moon show is really good, the cycle, and the Y-Files cycle is also pretty good. Or they only had the one show, but I thought it was pretty good as well. Though he doesn't go as far as we go, and he doesn't look at certain pieces of evidence that we do look at. But he did a great job. The Y-Files, if you haven't seen it, it really is. It's a great show. It's he looks at a whole bunch of stuff. Doesn't believe most of it, which is fair. You can't make people believe. But he does a good job. The production value is very high, and head off to him. I really admire what you're doing with your time and with the information. It's enjoyable to watch, and it's also informational. But essentially, the moon and the Earth are unique in every sense of the word. Scientists have said it's easier to explain the absence of the moon than its existence. Okay, the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but 400 times closer to the Earth, which is why we get near perfect solar eclipses. Okay, it rings like a bell. The rocks on the surface are older than even Earth. It is most likely hollow or has large cavities within it. As I said, it rings like, it rang like a bell when they deliberately crashed.
Twice it did.
Yeah, they crashed a spacecraft deliberately into it just to. Well, the first time they did it just to see if they could figure out the composition of the moon, which makes perfect sense. They were very surprised when the vibrations continued for several hours. In fact. We have seen odd lights on the moon. If you haven't seen Jose Escamilla's moon documentaries, I urge you to do so. Sadly, he has passed on, but we had him on the show twice. He sent Color of the Moon. He has, and these are Clementine mission pictures and such he used for the documentary. He's also the, I guess, discoverer of the rods. And no, they're not insects of flapping wings. There's a lot of rod footage which doesn't fit the description of insects or dust or whatever have you. And so it's, in my opinion, it's a real phenomenon. And these rods move a lot faster than we could normally see. And again, Dave and I have done a show around all the invisible things that are moving a lot faster than human perception. And only with recently invented cameras that can take, like 10,000 frames a second, things like that, are we able to see this hitherto invisible world. And oh boy, did it blow our mind. It sure did. In fact, Skinwalker Ranch captured a UFO that they could not possibly have seen with the naked eye or any other instrumentation, which was only captured by the significantly increased number of frames per second in one of the cameras they had pointed at the sky. Like, I mean, you forget blinking an eye. This thing moved so fast, you had no chance of ever even, perceiving it. Fascinating stuff. Another frame of the Skinwalker Ranch shows a white silvery sphere, fairly large, appear in exactly one frame of security camera footage. Exactly one frame. So, boom, boom, gone. And so what does that mean? So there it is. Clearly it's there. Somehow it got there, right? It appeared. And then whoop, it disappeared again. Fascinating stuff. It really is. So I think we're going to discover, look, as we go forward and as we, live our lives and science becomes more clever and our instruments become more clever and we invent all these wonderful things that let us see deeper and further and farther into the world, into the cosmos, and we're discovering more and more things. I mean, recently we discussed this with you guys, right? The age of humanity is now pushed back another 1 million years potentially, right? With some skulls that were found in China. we're now looking at the age of civilization being pushed further and further back as people realize that these monolithic structures could be a lot older. We know that the Bering Strait migration theory to America is not the only one that holds water, because, and this is really interesting, and if you haven't heard about it, do read up on it. As Bering Strait, clearly people came across the Bering Strait. As the Bering Strait was traversed by the early settlers, they went down into North America and then into South America, etc., leaving their genetic imprint along the way. Makes sense, right? They passed through, clearly stopped, had children, etc., etc. And then they found another genetic group which only exists in South America and can be found on, I guess, on the Pacific Islands, right? And then again in South America. So Pacific Islands, South America, never ever crossing the Bering Strait, never ever leaving a genetic trace in North America. Meaning, of course, that this was not the only way of migration to the Americas, but rather there seems to have been a Pacific migration, which is you can stand on your head again. One of my favorite phrases. The genetic evidence is there, right? And it's the same with many other fields of endeavor that we are coming across. Now, right now there's something amazing happening with CRISPR. They're only in the trial phase, so this is not out there for you to have. But they're in the trial phase of essentially, what's the best way to describe it? Essentially getting rid of HIV/AIDS. Mm-hmm. Okay, like deleting it from your DNA, as it were. Right? Only trial, but it's certainly a very promising trial. So, and I think CRISPR, as we've discussed in the past, will bring us a great many amazing.
And that's when the zombies were made. Yeah.
Well,
science fiction tells us a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, I know.
So CRISPR is being, let's say, researched. If I want to use any words, it's researched by Pfizer and Beam. They got together. They decided after the world's largest mRNA testing regime that was the best way to go forward, and they're experimenting with removing genetic disorders. So let's say cleansing our genome of things that could possibly do us in the end. I like the idea of being able to do that, cleansing our DNA, but who's going to pay someone, once the technology gets up, that you meet in a back alley to be able to be taller, run faster, change the color of your eyes, look like somebody else, have, bionic hearing kind of thing. Whatever it is that you would want to be able to do, you will be able to do while you're alive. Isn't that crazy?
I know, right? And funny enough, Aeon Flux, both the manga and then the live action movie, had a lady there, for example, who had two sets of hands, of course, and then her feet were hands. And she said, "Oh, I just had it recently done." Whoa, okay. and the genetic engineering had gone so far. The grass had been weaponized. It's fascinating stuff. If you haven't seen it, especially the live action movie, which I think Charlize Theron is in it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a really good science fiction movie. But Dave is right. It is incredible, and literally the sky is the limit. Our imagination is the limit. So that's all happening. We're moving ahead, and I say here, and I've said it before, that we will learn many more things, and all of the old beliefs we have held so dear will simply be no longer valid, and we have to accept new realities. It's just how it is. Okay, there's no two ways about it. We must accept new realities. And speaking of which, a couple of things that are really interesting in my mind. In Gaza, it seems there's a peace plan underway, which was worked out tellingly by Netanyahu and Trump and their teams, not the Palestinians, not Hamas certainly, and it looks like Hamas might be accepting certain parts of it.
20 of the points they've made, they've agreed with so far. We don't know how many that is of.
So rest
is it 20 of 100?
Well, that's the thing, right?
20 of 21. Possibly. We don't know.
Yeah. So rest assured that none of this is going to hurt Netanyahu. So he will get what he needs out of this. Okay, this is really important to understand. And too bad for the Palestinians, as it were. It's really not very promising, I guess, for the future as to what that might mean. I mean, we don't know. We just don't know what that means. But I rest assured that Netanyahu will get what he needs. And by the way, I heard that the bombing had stopped in Gaza. Not true. There were several bombing runs that still took place. So I wish it were true, but it was not true.
Oh, maybe it's just the definition of bombing.
Yeah, no, people were killed. So
you know how they work it. It's just by definition.
Yeah, look.
Well, they weren't really bombs; they were explosive devices.
They were more like cluster thingies.
That's right. They were clusters of them. There wasn't a single bomb.
Clusters.
Yeah. So
it's much better than it sounds.
I've got a news story on screen because I raced to. This is like Policy on the Run, right? If you remember, was it Mad Men or something? I forget, or the original Utopia, where the politician was on air, just running his mouth, and the people were in the background writing the policies as he was saying them. Hilarious. So I chase Mekhi around with news stories that I hope to try and get while we're still talking about it. But in my delay, you will note that I've got this story by the New York Times, and it says cautious optimism on Gaza peace plan, but no guarantees. Here's what to know. And I think it's really important to position, Mekhi, that's what I share, that phrase, the cautious optimism. I do hope that peace is found, but the no guarantees phrase matches exactly what you said, that who is the winner? And it's going to be Netanyahu, for sure. 7 years ago. That's all I hear is that it is going to go south for the Gazans.
Yeah.
It's not going to turn out for them as long as there's no more bombs dropping and Hamas, I don't know, tears up their agreement or something. Who knows? I don't know what it is. It says, but there's still a number of sticking points.
Yeah, look.
Of course there is.
Look, the key sticking point is that Hamas has to give up the arms, and they can't be part of any future government. That's the key.
And they've got to give up all of the hostages they have by today, US time.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, is it possible? Yes, of course it's possible. But look, I don't know. But the thing is this: if Hamas even violates one of the conditions, and this is really
That's right.
Well, you see, and okay, so when you negotiate a contract or any agreement for that matter, there's certain ways to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the negotiations to succeed, if you want the contract to be successfully brought to a conclusion, you put in things that both sides would like. Makes sense, right?
Oh, imagine that. Yeah.
Right. So essentially, it's a win-win kind of situation. Even if some side wins a bit more than the other, but the other side still wins. So that's a good outcome. Now, I've negotiated contracts a lot in my career with customers, and we sat through and we went through all these things, item by item. Where do we agree? What can we do? Technical, legal, etc., etc. Anyway, so I've done it. Okay. Point here is, you can do the reverse. If you don't want the contract to be successful, you put in things that one or the other or both
they would agree to. That's right, or both. Yeah.
Bingo. All right, and I fear that that may have happened here. I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying this won't be successful, but I fear that may have happened. Right now, if Netanyahu says yes, I agree with this. Like I like it. I guarantee you,
it's not
he gets what he
favourable
wants.
for the Gazans or Hamas. That's right.
Not likely. But again, I could be wrong, and this could be a whole new thing, and who knows? Though I doubt it. But so what can we expect? Well, I am cautiously optimistic that the hostages will be freed. That would be awesome. I'm cautiously optimistic they will stop the killing of the Palestinians, and they will release some prisoners from the jails. And so I'm cautiously optimistic that this might happen. However, I don't think it will change the overall strategy that Netanyahu and his right wing. No, that's not the right word. They're to the right of Hitler. I've said it before. They're to the right of Hitler. The right wing cronies have, which is to depopulate Gaza, meaning we want to get all Palestinians out of Gaza, right? If they're alive or dead, we don't care as long as they're out. And that's really what they want. That's what they're after, and that's what they're working towards. I don't think that overall strategy is changing at all, which is really interesting from a, I guess, geopolitical point of view and historical point of view. But Trump will do nothing that will hurt Netanyahu. By the same token, Trump is also doing nothing to hurt Putin, who is engaged in more bombings and more destruction and mayhem, and has now seemingly entered German airspace. There was something that happened at the Munich airport, like a drone attack or some such, which is quite something. In fact, he said if Germany continues to rearm as they are, then they will face dire consequences from Russia. Is what he said.
Help. So Mekhi, I know. So I want these agreements to get to this point where they've lived peacefully for a very long time. They blow the dust off the old agreement, years, decades in the future, and then do the old Simpson thing from Springfield, where the old guy with the it looks like an old accountant's got the the money counting thing, and he goes, "I think there's some more lines on the parchment," right? Says we get a pig each, right? I would like there to be success.
And the comedy version.
Right? I want there to be success with what all this is going on. I think the boiling rate right now of geopolitics is at an all-time high. It's way past the point at which we can't return from it. I think everyone's gone completely mad. They're all going into kingdom-styled, old, ancient land grabs. And just completely, what's it, admonishing. So admonishing all of care to do with anybody else that's outside of their land. That no one cares anymore at all. And now, I made this point during the week at Plato's Cave, that the threat within is actually our multiculturalism, and a culture conflict or a change. If where that's not multicultural, then it's the conflict of differing opinions is the dangers within, and that's the easiest way to say it. That has the least threat. Because I'm putting a warning screen up. I'm not saying anything, and I think we should all back the hell down from our ridiculous stances that we've placed our nations in. It isn't the people's fault, and I don't blame a single listener. Unless you're my CIA handler, then good for you. Happy Christmas, right? So the thing that disturbs me more than anything is where we're seeing this deletion, or it's kind of more. What am I trying to say? The strength of the people in the old guard with the old memories of the way things used to be is now driving the future, and it's like a snowplow plowing through everything that's currently in a civilization. I just go, well, I don't care about any of that. I'm just doing what I want. That belligerence is killing me, I think. That's the worst part of it. Because no one's agreeing. And everyone's doing the wrong thing and just lying to their people.
It's a direct consequence, excuse me, of globalism. Now, what globalism tried to do more or less successfully was break down borders, break down barriers, even dilute cultures. I'll explain to you what I mean by diluting cultures. I could go anywhere in the world, and I've gone to India, I've gone to all over Asia, all over Europe, all over America. And if you go to any shopping center, any major shopping center, right, Mall of India or an outlet mall in Orlando or here in Sydney or somewhere in
Singapore. That's
Hong
right.
Kong.
Australia doesn't matter.
Inside, if you go inside the shopping center, right, with the marble or the fake marble and the glass and the metal and the polished and the shops, all the shops are the same. You could be anywhere in the world, literally. You go to a shopping center.
You could see a Tiffany's, a Zara.
Everything.
Not Jeans West, because I think they just folded. But you could identify a brand anywhere. But if I took you, Mackie, say we played a game. Say we were wealthy enough to be able to play this game. And I said, I'm going to take you anywhere in the world with a blindfold on and put you into a mall. And you tell me what country you're in. You'd have no hope, no guess.
No chance.
You wouldn't win it.
I mean, you may be able to narrow it. You may. I'm saying may, right? You may be down by ethnicities, potentially.
Or maybe the food.
Potentially, but maybe to some extent. But even that is becoming more and more generic. It's really interesting. So it's unless you step out of the shopping center, right? At which point you pretty much should be able to identify where you are.
It should be pretty.
It's really difficult, and I mean this, right? And you think, okay, the prices must be quite different. No, not really. I mean, if you look at the prices, the currency will give it away, but the actual prices of the goods is pretty much the same, no matter where you are, which I find odd. So McDonald's, for example, I'm not advertising McDonald's here, but McDonald's, for example, is a luxury food in Vietnam. Okay, it's a food for special occasions because it's expensive. You can go into any street cafe or maybe some street food and get a bowl of pho, which is Vietnamese noodle soup with various ingredients. It'll cost you a couple bucks, let's say, right? And that'll fill you up, and it's good food, really good food, by the way. 100%.
I know.
Or you can do Macca's and pay $50 for your family.
Good Lord.
So. Oh no, it's expensive, brother, and not just in I don't know, in Vietnam, but India, same thing. My team, this goes years back, wanted to take me out for lunch. I said, hey, sure, let's go out for lunch. Where do you want to go? Pizza Hut, because that was a treat. That was a special thing. You know what I mean? So we all went to Pizza Hut. Why not? Right? Because it's expensive. If you've gone to a local biryani
family restaurant, Pizza Hut.
You did?
They did. They had an eat-in family restaurant.
Oh no, that's right. That's where we went.
A
place like that.
Yeah.
Correct. No, yeah, absolutely. Of course, I remember it. When I came to Australia, that was the thing. It was a big thing. But yeah, you're right. And but see, this is interesting. So this is like the special food, where you go. I would have been happy with any kind of curry hut, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I like the local food, right? But then when I went to the Philippines, interestingly, I said no. I had learned by this time. I want to go somewhere local, so we went somewhere local. I had sisig, which is literally a pig's face chopped up with rice, delicious. Now, obviously, it's cooked, right? I'm not trying to give you the wrong impression here, but it's beautiful. Local food was great, and in the Philippines, they love fried chicken. It's huge, massive. One of the biggest chains in the world is Jollibee, a chicken fryer. Anyway, point is, what you just said, Dave, is a direct, I guess, struggling against this globalization, which will dilute your culture, right? This complete disregard, and the mistrust of the foreign faces, the foreign customs, where you just want to be your own person. You want to be your own people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but they're so successful. The globalization was so successful. Now, of course, it's all dying because of AI and labor costs, et cetera, et cetera. So globalization is no longer the answer. The answer now is AI. It is. So it is. I mean, we talked about this.
It's not typing a prompt into ChatGPT. It's agentic AI, so that you create a perpetual agent that is now able to monitor something and look after a task or a set of tasks for a particular routine. Yeah, it's really interesting that that's where it got to. But what? Because that's so much cheaper than an employee.
But it's gotten further than that.
Mm-hmm.
See, when we talk about agentic AI, we talk about, or we think we talk about fairly low-level jobs, right? Maybe service desk person, maybe even, but no, not at all. So I want to dispel this illusion that AI is only about, replacing low-skilled labor, in the white-collar space. Not at all. AI is set to displace doctors. It is set to displace chefs. It is set to displace actors and actresses. Mm-hmm. We talked about it.
Yeah, we did.
In fact, the other day we talked about Tilly Norwood, who got a lot of hits, by the way. Our
oh, that's awesome.
Our talk. Yeah. So essentially this. So Tilly Norwood is in fact an AI, actor, if you will. Doesn't exist, but she's got headshots, and now her creator, I think it was a Dutch or Belgian lady, is now in talks with Hollywood studios to have her star in movies.
Goodness
and the thing is this. Now, yeah, I know, right? Now the thing is this. This is really scary because number one, AI consumes a lot of energy, right? And I mean, I'm talking about like electricity and water, etc., and a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Imagine if the industry went that way, and it might not be Hollywood, it might not be Bollywood, but some country maybe says, hey, this is a really cheap, in inverted commas, way to do this. Now, you don't have to deal with actors or actresses. You don't have to deal with unions. A whole bunch of stuff falls away. So you get AI to write it, and then you get AI to play it, and AI edited it. And you probably, you can punch out movies probably, 5 a week if you really wanted to, right? And it's getting so good, this whole thing, that you probably wouldn't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you compare like what we used to even 5-6 years ago to what we can do now, there's just no comparison. It's just nuts. It is, and that's why I'm a little worried. And of course Hollywood is up in arms and says no, we can't do this, etc., etc. And nor should you. But we're talking about any profession. They taught a robot. This is not AI. This is not AI, by the way. But imagine AI added to this. They taught a robot to make the perfect noodle dish every time. So they motion captured the chef's motion with the wok, adding ingredients, captured everything, right? And then they, turned it into an algorithm that they could load up into, into a robotic arm, if you will, or 2 robotic arms, to now make the perfect, make the perfect noodle dish every single time, as long as everything is in its place. Obviously, someone has to put it in its place. But if everything is in its place, this robot arm will make the perfect noodle dish every single time. Okay? Now, if you want consistency, that's what you want, obviously, right? And I can see McDonald's going down that way. And again, I'm not picking on McDonald's, any fast food chain. If they could get rid of people, I mean, already, the ordering, you don't order from people anymore. You order on the screen, right? Ideally, even in a restaurant. Even if you walk into a restaurant, you order from a screen, and then you can customize it any which way you want, right?
Or a Bluetooth code.
And soon enough,
a QR code.
Yeah, correct. Skip the queue. Mm-hmm. And soon enough, in my opinion, they will do away with, except maybe for like a supervisor or a couple of supervisors, they will do away with the human kids in the back. Usually kids. Now in Asia, though, it's interesting. It's older people because they have no social security, so it's a whole different ballgame over there. But they will do away with those workers because they won't be necessary anymore. I mean, think about specifically a fast food chain. Think about it, right? So McDonald's was the first fast food chain who really formalized it.
Mm-hmm.
They really got the process down pat.
That's right.
I mean, if you look at the history of it, there's a great movie called Founder with Michael Keaton. You should watch it if you want to know. Anyway, point is they really formalized it and so there's now the process they will follow every time. Now, if you can put that into an algorithm and you can program the machines to do the exact same thing every time, you will get whatever fast food items that you sell, and they will look perfect every single time.
Mm-hmm.
If the ingredients are all in the right place to start with, and then the machines just do what they do, and they will do it perfectly every time. Now, if something goes wrong, then of course it's a different story, and you're probably up the proverbial creek without a pedal. But as long as everything is yes, as long as everything is status quo, you should be able to turn quite a tidy profit, not employing anyone. And what we're doing here, of course, is we're destroying our economies. Mm-hmm. That's a big statement, Mackie, but bear with me for 2 minutes. We have destroyed, for human workers, almost all entry-level jobs. Mm-hmm. Almost. Not quite yet. I mean, there's still people stacking shelves. There's still people working in fast food joints.
Yep.
There's still people delivering. And it's all still happening, right? But I guarantee you, over time, and not a lot of time, those jobs will go away. The entry-level jobs in most corporate environments have gone away, right? I started in an entry-level job in the corporate world in IT. I was a guy that would go around fixing computers from desk to desk. I was called a field services engineer, right? So I would go around, you got a problem with your machine, I would come, or you would look a call, and if they couldn't be fixed over the phone by a person, they would come and send me. I'd either fix it there or I'd take your machine away or whatever the case may be, right? So that's gone, that job, pretty much. Still exists here and there a little bit, especially for VIPs, but by and large gone. Service desk, mostly automated, mostly AI, agentic. Service desk is mostly agentic now, right? Agentic AI. And this is entry-level jobs here, as well as in India or Bangladesh or elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So those jobs are falling away more and more. Now, we haven't talked about the energy consumption and the water consumption, but this will be a problem going forward, a massive problem.
Well, I've got a screen to put up for that.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
But as we keep going, and a lot of people will no longer be able to enter an industry, right? Because they won't be able to, start knowing virtually nothing about the job because you're expected to learn. That's called entry level, right? But I see it now in my profession. So what I do, I guess what you call a pre-sales, a bid and proposal kind of guy that looks after a whole bunch of managed services accounts. If it doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry about it. But essentially, my team writes the proposals for our clients, which enables them to buy our services or goods, as it may be. But everybody in my team is retiring. We have not, over the last 15, 20 years, brought younger people up through the team, because either we offshored it, right? And so now these jobs are sitting elsewhere in other countries. That's not too bad. That's okay. But we've also started to just not replacing them when they retire, or outright letting them go. Okay, because in the corporate mindset, this can all be automated or AI'd or whatever, right? So these entry-level jobs, and then the progression for yourself as a career person, no longer exists, right? It exists here and there, but any corporation will always take the opportunity to cut costs wherever they can. That's just how it is. And that's what's happening with the American government right now. I'm so glad everybody sees it, because Trump is running America like a corporation. If you ever wondered what it looks like in a corporation, any corporation, doesn't matter if you make lollies or cow dung, it doesn't matter what your end product is. That's exactly how it's run, how America is being run today. It's hilarious. But of course, as we then have no more employment for these people, and they're coming through, youth employment is going to go up. Not just youth employment, but people are going to be made redundant because of agentic AI, because of the constant need to cut costs. And before you know it, a huge chunk of the population is out of work. And if a huge chunk of the population is out of work, then the question becomes, well, who's going to buy all your stuff? Who's going to purchase all your goods and services?
There won't be anyone left to buy all the stuff. That's the
Exactly.
thing.
So,
I know.
so as we're doing this, we're destroying the market we're selling into.
Mhm.
It's actually insane. It is complete insanity. And a few people have had that insight and talked about it. But I think Dave and I were amongst the first to talk about it because we see it in our lives. In our lives, in the corporate world, we see it every day. Right? And eventually, because Dave and I, we like to think and talk and think, we thought it through. We put some water through it, and just to see what happens. And the truth is, if you follow it to its logical consequence, there'll be a lot of unemployed people that no longer really contribute to the economy in the way they used to. The economy is going to shrink, okay, and the few people at the top are getting richer and richer, but their economic activity is not going to make up for the thousands of people and millions of people, in fact, that are no longer able to work and have enough money to do anything really. So that's where we are. Just to be clear, it's hilarious, right? It's just nuts.
So, I had a look. I've got some things on the screen here to bolster this argument. So, humans, and it's a good reason for the Matrix movies' use of humans to power the AI, because sitting still, we produce about 400 BTUs per hour. That's called British thermal units. Just remember the term, that's all. Then there's MIT did a study and found per response in AI modeling, per response. So every time you type something, the amount of energy required by the AI, including cooling, is about 114 joules of energy. Now, because they're in two different definitions of what energy is, I converted the 114 joules here on the page to what it looks like in BTUs. Now, if we're making 400 BTUs sitting still doing nothing, this is only using 0.1 of a BTU per response. So the energy is actually far less. And if with the Matrix, they would have us providing the power, even through as much loss as you wanted, and you could have all the humans in those little pink vestibule, no, what is it called, like podules, providing the AI to a computer that then had no one to type in a prompt. So the whole thing appears to me, and Mackie and I, but you can respond on your own, Mackie, is that the degeneration of our civilization by removing consumerism in the way that they're doing it, in the hope of trying to increase their profits, which dilutes their profits and dissolves them away until there's only one person left to turn off the light switch, and then that's the end of it, because there won't be anything else. The only way to keep everybody alive is the way we're currently seeing it, a managed decline of all of our economies, an eventuation of a digital currency that isn't linked to effort, because that's what our fiat currency is linked to, is our per person effort within our nations. The more people working, the more value your fiat currency has. Unfortunately, as it's being stored as our effort is being stored as currency we can trade with, as soon as we're given a non-linked to effort currency to be able to spend with, then the whole thing is irrelevant anymore. We don't have to work. But what do we buy, and how much are we given, and which companies in the stakeholder economy will be the beneficiaries of this amount of credit that we're given, non-savable tokened credit, which come in the form of like expiring gift cards, but in our own bank accounts. The whole thing's preposterous. It's awful to what we've done to our entire society, the way it's going, and I can't see a way out of it once we're in it. Our only hope is to accept it kicking and screaming. What's your thoughts, Mackie?
No, I completely agree. I completely agree. It's what we're doing is a complete destruction. But the thing is this, right? Capitalism doesn't think. Capitalism is not an ideology that thinks. Capitalism just reacts.
Mm-hmm.
It is completely right. I mean, in capitalism, in pure capitalism, I mean, the markets should regulate everything. That would be okay. If the market truly regulated everything, then a lot of banks should be bankrupt. A whole bunch of businesses should have gone out of business that are still around. And there should never have been a transfer of wealth from Main Street to Wall Street, as we saw in 2008. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. So you can't say, yeah, exactly. So you can't really say that we're still in capitalism. Now, we're still in capitalism from the tenet of, from the point of view as you know, you want to maximize your profits, etc., etc. But it's not true capitalism, because even if your business failed, which they did,
yeah,
you were bailed out by the people, essentially, right? And this is not just America, but across the world.
Mickey. The banks are so dishonest that were selling bad credit to other banks and falsely identified as good credit. And they were all ripping each other up until they realized they had nothing.
That's right. And that's exactly right. And the funny thing is this, they knew they would be bailed out, but they knew it. And if you haven't seen, there's a couple of great movies around this. One is
Short.
I'll tell you after the break what they're called. Yeah, The Big Short, and there was another one as well. But that's neither here nor there. In America alone, the bailout amounted to about $1 trillion, $1,000 billion overall. Rolling Stone magazine did a great article on it, and took into account a whole bunch of stuff, which was really fascinating to me. Just in America. So it is a feudal kind of capitalism where we are just, we're only good for two things as people. Is to prop up the wealthy.
Yeah. Right?
That's one. And two, I guess, consume to the best of our ability, right? Which again sort of feeds into the propping up. But we prop up not just by consumption, we prop up through taxes, through our bank holdings, etc., etc. So this is really where we are. We are living, existing, I should say, so that the super wealthy, the parasites, can live. In the movie They Live, it's really, it's very poignant, because this was made in 1988 by John Carpenter. There's this graffiti: "They live, we sleep." Now, the premise of the movie that we are hypnotized into a state of obedience, which, if you look around, that's probably true. But true. I want to go further and say they live and we merely exist. And we do dream walk or sleepwalk through our lives while they enjoy life. I mean, this has gotten so far that pedophiles are being protected by the establishment. Why? Because everybody is in on it. Not Republicans, not Democrats. Everybody is in it. That's why you never see these files. That's why this won't come out, really. Not really. It would destroy the system.
Good.
Okay, because they're all in it. Because there's no more moral imperative. This is all falling apart around us. They do whatever they want. They always have. And now, but for the first time, our expectation is that they don't do this, that the parasites do not act this way. The French Revolution didn't just happen because the French people were starving in the street. It happened because they saw the excesses, the vulgarity, and the arbitrary justice. Mickey. Yeah, of the nobility. Like they felt untouchable. A few thousand rolling heads later, not so. Not so. The French Revolution was a watershed. Now, as most things, it didn't go very well, and Robespierre and Dante, I think Dante had Robespierre executed. Usually what you see is, except for the American Revolution, but usually what you see is the revolutionary
should be run by the poor.
They probably run it better.
Yeah. But look, that's the end of the first hour. Coming up after the first hour, I know we've got some things to still continue on, but we're going to be talking about the hypothesis part 9 when we get to it after the break. But in the meantime, right, donate to the station, do like, share, comment and subscribe to anything you see us in the wild. And this stream's going to end and a new one will start for the second hour.